Do you hate tofu, but do you like peanut butter? Well, I have a solution for you. Today, we're going to braise some firm tofu with some peanut butter. Let's do it. First, we deal with the tofu. Like all my tofu recipes, I'm going to start from the packaging, just to show that no one should be scared of this beast. Very simple. You make one incision on one side, a small incision on the other, just to let air in to replace liquid, and you drain it. This is simply salted water to make sure the tofu does not dry out. Open the whole thing up, and we have our firm tofu. Now, normally with my tofu recipes, you'll see me trying to cube them with a knife. Since we're braising the firm tofu today, the knife would make the surface too smooth, making it harder for the sauce to cling onto the tofu. So instead, I like to use a piece of butcher's twine, and we simply cut the tofu with the twine. So you get a rougher surface. And the rougher the surface, the larger the surface area that's in contact with our beautiful peanut butter, the more flavor would cling on to our tofu. And this is a rustic dish. We're not looking for perfect cubes. A bit of broken tofu would also help you thicken the sauce. I mean, if you floss, you know what you're doing. Now, just to demonstrate my point, this is the rough surface I'm talking about. And that's our tofu ready. Now, optional step is to either put this in the microwave for 2 minutes, steam for 10 minutes, or blanch it in water briefly to help them remove the excess liquid. But today, because of the long braising time, we can even skip that step and just factor in that the tofu would release some moisture to the pot. So we set the tofu aside while we prepare our one and only aromatic vegetable, the onion. Today I'm doing the bare bone version of this dish just to demonstrate how you could give your favorite flavors to the tofu, treating it like a sponge. But of course, you can use aromatic vegetables of your liking, add spices of your choice. Do this once, see if you like it. And if you do, there are endless opportunities. And now we can cook. Stove on, medium-high heat. Once the pot is relatively hot, olive oil, and the onions go in. We season with a bit of salt. This will also help the onion release their moisture. What we're trying to do here is that we're slowly evaporating the water content from the onions to concentrate their flavors and sweetness. Like, as I said many times before, tofu, in a culinary sense, is not a meat substitute. It's more similar to potato gnocchi or even a pasta. That's why in most Asian recipes, when they cook tofu, there's always some form of aromatic vegetables, followed by a flavorsome broth. And the broth is what people would cook the tofu in, for the tofu to soak up those wonderful flavors. Because of the sugar content within the onion, to evaporate the moisture without burning them takes a while, so be a bit patient. Otherwise, you end up with a liquid that trapped in that harshness and acidity of the onion. As you can see, once the steam is slowing down, you adjust the heat accordingly to not burn the onions. Now, once the onion is translucent, we introduce the star of the show, the peanut butter. Now, if you have homemade peanut butter, great. If not, how much peanut butter to add is almost to taste, except for one thing. The salt content in the peanut butter sets the ceiling of how much peanut butter you can add. So, for example, for 800 grams of tofu, I don't want more than 8 grams of salt. So you should always check the back of the packaging to see what percentage of salt in each gram of peanut butter and calculate the most peanut butter you could add. Otherwise, this dish would just become way too salty. Peanut butter, if anything, is way more similar to meat than tofu. It's about 50% protein and very, very high in fat content as well. Almost like a ribeye steak. So, given that's the case, even though they've already been toasted in the peanut butter making process, we're still going to toast them a bit in the pan to get a bit of extra Maillard reaction. Protein, high heat, the reaction that makes meat taste meaty. And immediately, the smell of the room is incredible. Once you have this toasted peanut smell, we slowly introduce a tiny bit of water, just for everything to emulsify, and we take the opportunity to mop up any burn bits, the fond, if any. Now, before we add more water because we did not remove the excess liquid from the tofu. We'll first add the tofu for the tofu to release some liquid before topping up with water to not unnecessarily dilute flavors. Tofu in, be a bit gentle. We just want to mix everything together. Once everything's beautifully coated, we add just enough water. Bring this back to a boil. And once this is boiling, remove the bowl, don't waste. Lid on, medium heat, and you let the peanut butter and the tofu to get to know each other for about 45 minutes. And then we have a dish. I'll see you in 45 minutes. Alright, after 45 minutes, tofu is no longer scary. Look at this. The tofu has taken on the color of the peanut butter and the flavors have emulsified. Now, all we need to do is to crank up the heat and reduce this liquid to a thicker consistency. Firm tofu is something that's impossible to overcook, so don't worry about the texture of the tofu. We're only solving for consistency now. Once the bubbles have fallen below the top level of the tofu, that's when you know it's ready. And as you can see, without any thickener, this is coating the back of a spoon already. And that's the consistency we want. Beautiful, like this. And look at this beautiful color. Even if you don't like tofu, as long as you love peanut butter, please give this at least one try. This is peanut butter tofu, still bubbling away. I really hope you enjoy.